G'day everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of SteelTalk by Steelcorp. We're pumped to be bringing you another episode in our commercial shed series, and our topic for today is all about the Steelcorp experience. We're going to go deep on some key pillars around the Steelcorp experience. But before we do that, I want to thank you for joining us and hand over to Aaron, who's going to tell you a bit more about us. Aaron, over to you.
Cheers, mate. So a bit about us. Obviously, a lot of people might know us. We're a family-owned company, and we're based here in Wangaratta, northeast Victoria. We're a young team of 20, and we specialise in large agricultural and commercial structures. I've got with myself here, Mr. Joshua, and Shane, my oldest brother. A bit about Joshua. He's an energetic man. And would you say? Because he's running and whatnot. But and Shane, he's been in the business for quite a while, so he's obviously been through most parts of the business. So he's got a bit of experience, but behind it all.
That's good. And just to summarise on this about us page, my father-in-law Ross started the business around 20 years ago, and we've now got 4 of his sons in the business. So it's a proud family business, and we're looking forward to future growth. Jump now into the content for today, and here we go. So the thought out there maybe, or the problem that we've come across is many people think that Steelcorp is just another shed company that supplies standard steel structures. And we need to do our best to change that idea, but the reality is we are much more than that. We're a family company with a young, energetic team of around 20, and we're passionate about going really deep with our clients every step of the way. And that's all the way from the early design phases right through to handover of a project. We're not just a shed supplier in that sense, but we actually like to go, we like to walk you through the entire process. So I'm going to hand over now to Aaron, who's going to give you a bit of background on some of the projects we focus on to give you an idea of how we work with our clients before we jump into the 4 key pillars for today. Over to you, Aaron.
Cheers, mate. So I've got a few structures here to show some of the structures we do, being large storage complexes and multi-tenant units. So we've got that top left-hand corner is a multi-tenant structure, and it's underway, as you can see on the bottom left-hand corner. And then we can see on the right-hand top corner is a large commercial structure, about 4,000 square metres, and that one there is underway at the moment as well, almost complete.
That's good. So a real focus on commercial projects. Here we have a warehouse, a multi-tenant structure, but we also like to help out with storage shed complexes as well. So we're quite a spread across the commercial sector. And Aaron?
Yeah, so we undertake educational and public buildings as well. So we work with a lot of schools, and we have here some curved collars, so covered outdoor learning areas. And so on the bottom left-hand corner here, an SES shed, so emergency service building.
That's good. So good to always put back into the community with these local RFS sheds and SES projects. Thanks, Aaron. So I just want to jump into now the 4 key pillars of what sets Steelcorp apart. We're going to go through the discovery phase, how we like to help our clients in early design, how we love getting our hands dirty in the approval phase, which can be quite of a challenge, the benefits of us having our own in-house manufacturing, and how our construction program gives our customers and clients peace of mind during the on-site works. So Shane and Aaron, I'm going to hand over to you guys now to run through the first pillar, which is the discovery phase. Over to you guys.
Yeah, so during the discovery phase, we like to obviously conduct site visits to help us gain that personal connection with you as a client and human touch, and also to better understand the situation, so we can learn a bit more about the backstory and all the rest of it, and also removes the unknowns, any unknowns that there might be going to site. We can rather than make assumptions.
Yeah, that's it. And then the next point here is world-class concepts. So we have the ability to generate some pretty cool concepts. This is a bit of a fun one to work on the design and make your structure stand out pretty much, a unique structure. So yeah, we work with you to come up with some good structures there for you to visualize, and also along with that elevation drawing so you can see the finer details and your dimensions and so forth. Another one would be the site maps. Look at how the structure sits on the property as well.
We also obviously look into the return on investment and come up with an efficient design that's going to create you good return on investment.
That's right. And with the value engineering here, we work with a fair few engineers to bring about some efficient designs, which helps reduce the cost.
Just on that point there, Aaron, the benefit of working with our own engineers, because we manufacture as well, we have got good practical exposure to coming up with efficient designs. We push back a lot on our engineers, don't we? We try and meet in the middle with materials and so on to make sure that our customers are getting a very efficient and economical design. Sorry, Shane.
As well as good quality.
Perfect.
We also look into the property, do a bit of research, make sure that there's no uncover any potential risks with the build and any additional costs that could be involved.
Sorry, Shane, just on that point, have you got an example of how you've helped out a client in that early property research phase?
Well, we've got obviously if there's easements on the property or whatever, there's it helps with the location of your shed, and then if there's any overlays on the property, additional costs could be the cost of a planning permit. Things to think about.
Great.
And then this last point here, so team approach. We get the operations team involved earlier on to make sure we strategize around getting some efficient timeframes, and also getting them involved in the early design phase as well. Come up with some efficient designs.
That's good. And Shane, you're going to run us through an example of how you help the client in this discovery phase?
Yeah, so I had a client that he didn't know whether he was an investor client, and he didn't know whether he should build a warehouse because he had a tenant that could possibly go straight into it, or whether it would be better to do a storage complex on that block, better utilise the block. And I did a bit of an ROI case for him and worked out how he could, with the storage sheds, he'd actually improve his ROI by doubling it per year. So that was a good exercise.
Just to give some example to our listeners today, so Shane actually contacted the local real estate agent in the rural town to get an idea of what the standard return would be on storage, different size storage sheds. Let's pick a number, Shane. I think it was say 500 grand for the warehouse. For a similar outlay of cash for storage investment or for a storage facility, I think the return, as you said, doubled each year with the same initial outlay. The client was able to achieve a double ROI with the storage facility complex. So a real practical example of how Steelcorp gets involved in the early discovery phase and goes as far as changing potential warehouse into a storage complex, which is proving to be a great decision by our investor client. That's great.
Right.
The next pillar we're talking about today is how we love to help with the approval process. For those that have been part of our series, I think this was number 2, was it, Shane, in our series? We had a whole episode on this one. We went deep on the complexities that can arise as part of the approval process. Councils can be tricky to deal with. There's a lot of rules that apply to different areas. But that aside, Aaron's going to run through how we can really get help in this phase. Aaron.
Yeah, so we're happy to oversee the approval process to ensure that it runs smoothly. We have a network of professionals that we work with. Obviously, these helps eliminate risks that can come up, being a bit of a hairy process, and it can draw out. So having these professionals to really help out helps save time there and confusion pretty much. And obviously there's a lot of industry jargon to understand, and having been in the industry for a while, we can help there.
That's good. Yeah, often difficult stage or phase of the project, but it's often frustrating for our clients because they can't see the progress that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But once this is ticked off, it's always good to see things start to roll quickly. Shane, an example of a Goulburn client, Shane, that we are working with at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a client at the moment that is in a bushfire zone, and it's a bit confusing for the client how to handle that one. There's obviously a lot of requirements on his building, like boundary firewalls and whatnot, and also which permit process to take. Being in New South Wales, there's a lot of different avenues to get a permit, whether you go through the council with a DA and then apply for a construction certificate, or there's an option to do it all as one permit. So yeah, we're looking into that for him at the moment, dealing with certifiers and all the rest of it.
And I understand you've been talking to some fire engineers as well, just around what might be required, and going as far as looking at some products that we could suggest to keep some of the fire safe products as economical as possible. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
This all obviously ultimately saves the client time pretty much.
Yep, and removes any confusion or questions or doubts from their minds. That's great.
Yeah.
So the next pillar we're talking about today, what sets Steelcorp apart, is our in-house manufacturing. And I'm pretty passionate about this one, so I'll run through some of these points. We have our own team or our own workshop team. We've got qualified boilermakers and welders who are passionate about quality. We have a large facility, overhead cranes and state-of-the-art machinery. So we have really good control over the product we take to market. We're not relying on a third-party supplier for this part of the scope, which is exciting. It's always a thrill to go through a walk through our own facility and see raw materials being turned into structures. It's always exciting. Second point here is we qualified for Australian-made accreditation last year, which is very exciting. All our raw materials are Australian sourced, and we love supporting the local supply chain and putting back into the local community. Number three is really powerful. We have great control over timeframes. We're able to deploy our resources pretty quickly to meet tight timeframes. We understand that a lot of projects are won on this basis, from our, whether it be a head contract on a fixed term. So we love making sure we meet these timeframes. Just as an example, our current timeframes at the moment are around 10 to 12 weeks, which includes engineering, drafting, purchasing, fabrication, and galvanizing. So we like to compress the entire process, and we know that time equals money. So we like to move fast for you. Point four here is around flexibility. Construction projects, especially commercial ones, there's always going to be changes or variations that pop up. And because we do our own manufacturing, our own drafting, our own design, we're able to pivot on these points without too much delay or cost blowouts. So we're able to work with you with any changes and like supporting you through that. And finally here, the last point we've included is lifetime structural warranty. So we're passionate about this point, guaranteeing our structural steel that we put out in the market, backed up by a lifetime warranty. That's enough talking from me. Hopefully it's been valuable. Aaron, over to you for this example for a project in Shepparton.
Yeah, so this project in Shepparton being quite large, it was about 4,000 square metres. The client had timeframes to meet, which I think it was 12 weeks from start to delivery. And yeah, we were able to make that happen, which is, it's standing now.
Yeah, so it's a great win-win story for both the client and for Steelcorp, who was able to work with a local builder in Shepparton. The final pillar we're talking about today, team, is our hands-on approach in the construction phase. And Shane's going to run us through some of these points. Over to you, Shane.
Yeah, so during the construction phase, we've got a good lot of trades that we deal with, and it ensures that you get a quality build. And also we have a team of project managers that they manage the project from start to finish, and obviously make sure that the process happens as it should. And we're a single point of contact, so it can be hard to know who does what sometimes when you're building, but having that single point of contact during the build is always good. And we also conduct a formal handover at the end of the project to make sure that everything is done to the standard that it makes you satisfied.
That's great. So the construction timing on a job is what the client sees a lot of. It's when things are moving on site, and it's always reassuring to have a partnering company that is able to really put you in touch with good trades, oversee the project from start to finish, and always keep an eye on quality, especially in that final handover. But you had a good example, Shane, of a project in Albury where we helped out in this phase a lot.
Yeah, we've got a project on the go at the moment in Albury, and we're taking on a fair bit more scope than normal. So we obviously did the early design of the structure, and we handled all the engineering for the whole build, including the tilt panels and the mezzanine floors and awnings and concrete. We did all the plans for the council and concrete works, including footings. We obviously supplied the main structure kit, and we're obviously doing all the rigging of the frame and cladding and installation. Yeah, so that's a good project.
That's good, Shane. So where that might differ from another shed company is they might only supply the structural kit and the cladding and then walk away from the project. But what we've done in this example is we've helped out our client by helping out with early design, engineering, helping out with plans for council approval. We've incorporated concrete works into our scope, including tilt panel concrete walls, which is great help for our client. We've helped out with the mezzanine flooring in the project. So a bit more of a collaborative approach is what we like to bring to our clients' experience in Steelcorp. And you anything to add there?
No, that's it. So I think all that was left is pretty much the fit out.
That's great. Yeah. So much more than just a shed company. Just exciting to be offering to market. So just to recap today, team, we went through the Steelcorp difference, how we're much more than just a shed company. We touched on some of the projects we're very passionate about working with in the commercial sector and also in the public education and public space area. And then went through the 4 key pillars of what sets Steelcorp apart, being the early design / discovery phase, how we like to get hands dirty in approvals, the manufacturing advantage we have of having our own resources in-house, which can always ensure a better turnaround, better quality, and also the ability for us to get very involved in the construction phase, bringing in more trades, owning the project, and overseeing it for you. So we have had a couple of questions come through, Aaron and Shane, so I'll run into those now. The first question's from Hannah, and this is probably one for you, Shane. Is Steelcorp a commercial builder?
So Steelcorp's not a commercial builder, but we obviously, there's 2 models you can run your project. So you can do it as an owner builder, and we can help you through the process there, or you can do it through a commercial builder. And we obviously have commercial builders that we deal with and can recommend to you.
That's good. So I think going back an episode or 2, we ran through the owner builder experience, what the difference is between being an owner builder or partnering with a local commercial construction company. So I'm sure Hannah will find some value out of that prior episode. And a question here from Adrian, let's quickly check that out. Probably one for you, Aaron. At what stage can you get involved in my project?
Yeah, so we can get obviously involved early stages, as we discussed earlier, in the design phase and whatnot. But even prior to you securing a property, we could look at that property and see if it's a right fit.
That's good. So we can help out with a bit of a feasibility study on the land, but not only the land, even the design of the structure as well. I think the example before from Shane regarding this warehouse versus storage complex is very powerful. The way we were able to double our client's ROI just by simply altering the structure type we put on this property for him.
Yes, even providing square meterage rates and things like that, so you can get an early budgeting cost.
That's great. So they're the questions we had come in today, and bring up the final slide now, which is always a bit of a sad one. But want to thank everyone for coming on our SteelTalk journey for 2021. That's a wrap from us. We're three ordinary guys that are trying to make a difference in the industry, and this idea was born on the back of a napkin by Shane back in May. So we've managed to bring together a pretty unique series on commercial projects, this being episode 5. But pretty excited to announce that we'll be back in 2022 with a revamped series. Looking forward to bringing some partners on, some industry partners onto the series, maybe interviewing some clients.
Yep.
And providing real value back to the industry. So that's us for this episode. Thanks so much for joining. Shane or Aaron, you have any parting words before we close out for the year?
Not really. Might look at the time as well, 2:30, see what suits for the people.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for joining. It's been great.
That's it. It's been a pleasure having you with us. Enjoy your break over Christmas, and we'll look forward to catching up in 2022.
Sounds good.
Man. Keep safe.
Oh, yeah.
See you later.